Alrighty, back for another Aristotle's Musings. Got my Irish tweed cap on, my Irish sweater in the background. My brother said that Aristotle's Musings sounds a little self-involved, so threw on a hat just to diffuse the situation. So today we're talking about the dark why. Last time we talked about the why. I gave you potentially a couple exercises to really figure out what drives you, what motivates you, what's your core purpose, right? And that generally is a positive thing. This is flipping it on its head, and we're going to look at something else. So your why, if you recall, is your core purpose, your belief, grounds you and it grounds your business, hopefully, right? It's around which you can build your business. Once you determine your why, you can build out the what, you can build out the who, you can build out the how, you can build out everything else from there. Who do you even want to work with? All that can be built out once you determine your brand, right? And again, the idea is that you're going to attract those with similar beliefs. If you're somebody that works with me, you probably have some generally similar beliefs or generally similar mannerisms. Like we ultimately want to work with those who are like ourselves, right? Birds of a feather flock together. Again, it's not accidental. Your friends are those who are very similar to you by chance. So the dark why is not a positive thing, okay? But it can be a very motivating thing. So I love this quote by one of my classic philosophers. I told you it's the lens through which I look through things, right? Constant misfortune brings this one blessing. Those whom it always assails, it eventually fortifies. Put in other words, if your life has been very hard, you're very tough. Chances are, if you've survived this long, you are a tough individual. Well, the dark why is essentially that, okay? It is that which spurs activity when nothing else does, right? And it can be any number of bad things. It can disgust, fear, anger, shame, jealousy, guilt, insecurity, revenge. All of those things can be a motivating kick in the ass when you need it, right? Some days when you need to go to the gym, all it takes is a little bit of, for me, anxiety. That's all it takes. My anxiety is my dark why. I am very driven by my anxiety, believe it or not. It's turning a negative into a positive, right? And it has a basis in psychology. Like they've done a lot of studies where they found that negative motivation can be just as motivating as positive motivation. Very, very interesting stuff, but it can give you the kick in the pants you need when you need it. And it can be extremely beneficial so long as you acknowledge it. Okay, and I'm going to be talking about a number of different examples of people that were very, very motivated, very, very successful, by the way, and they were motivated in large part due to their dark why. So I love this quote as well. Sylvia Plath, American poet. Perhaps someday I'll crawl home, beaten, defeated, but not as long as I can make stories out of my heartbreak or beauty out of sorrow. I love that. That's beautiful. It's turning a negative into a positive, and it's exactly what the dark why is. You hear it all the time with athletes, right? They have a chip on their shoulder. Highly successful people, all with a big chip on their shoulder, and that's their dark why. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. There's tales about Tom Brady being able to name up every single quarterback that was drafted before him. At one point, there was rumors that he actually had the list posted in his locker, so that every single time he was getting ready for the day, he could see all those people that were drafted before him. That is a dark why. You're the most successful, as much as I hate to admit it, Broncos fan here, you're the most successful football player of all time. Like, without any question. You are the greatest of all time. You are the GOAT. And yet you can name, to this day, how many years later, all those quarterbacks that were drafted before you. That is a crazy dark why, right? One name you may not recognize on here, and that's intentional, is Turia Pitt. So, ultra marathon runner, she used to pretend when she was running these ultra marathons that she was being chased by lions, that she was being chased down by a predator. And that's what motivated her. Literally, her motivator was fear. She was being motivated by her fear. That is a dark why, but it worked for her. She's also got a crazy story how she was doing an ultra marathon in Australia, and there was a fire that broke out, and she ended up getting burned all over. Very, very motivating individual. If you don't know, look her up. Very fascinating, very motivating, inspirational individual. But that was her dark why. She was motivated by, there's a lion running after me. I need to run. I need to go to this next village, and I need to save all these people. Like, all these different things that would motivate her to just keep on going with an ultra marathon, I cannot imagine. If you don't believe that negativity works, look at all the inflammatory language that's in marketing. I spent all of 2 minutes looking for negative, clickbait, inflammatory language. It took me 2 minutes to find all of these: apocalyptic, attack, blistering, dramatic, beware, caution, failure, shocking, scary, devastating, aftermath, startling, destruction, brink, criticize. All these negative things. They know that you're going to be inclined to click on it. In fact, you're actually 2/3 more likely to click on it if it has negative emotions attached to it. They've done studies before where they said, hey, look, we're going to do only positive news segments. We don't like the negativity that news has. The sky is not falling. We don't believe it is. So we need to change our approach to news. And they actually came out with positive news days. And what they found is that nobody tuned in. Nobody tuned in. All that marketing money was out the door, out the window, gone by, and nobody was paying attention to it at all. It took negative emotions for people to finally say, all right, I'll click on that. I'll watch that. It's amazing, but that's how we are wired. So if you're lacking that motivation on those days, if you're struggling to get out of bed, if you're tap into your dark why, figure out what that is for you. For me, being open and vulnerable, why not? So for me, some of the first math I did, I talked about my parents in my intro, hardworking parents, 5 kids. Out of all 5 of us children, all but 4 were born in different states. Like, we just moved around a lot. They were working so hard, chasing down every new job, every raise, every new opportunity to put food on the table, quite literally. Extremely hardworking. A lot of who I am is because of that, right? But I remember being in the grocery store with my dad, and he'll probably watch this at some point and hear the story, and he'll be like, he probably doesn't even remember it. But for me, it made a huge impression. But I remember being at the grocery store and swipes all the groceries, sees the bill come up, swipes the credit card, and it's declined. And swipes it again, declined. Third time, declined. So then we have to figure out how much groceries we have to put back in order to be able to get the hell out of the grocery store. So some of the first math I was doing as a kid, practical math, was trying to figure out how much stuff we had to put back away so that we could actually leave the store. Again, hardworking parents, they did everything they possibly could, but 5 kids, 2 working parents, like, you can only do so much, right? But that's a motivator for me. That is a motivator for me. Make hay while the sun shines. My dad told me that so many times when I was a kid. Make hay while the sun shines. That is a negative motivating factor for me. Like, it is not that much of a gap, much of a leap before you're literally looking at trying to sell the house or chop into some additional lines of credit to be able to pay the bills. It's not that far away. And that has always stuck with me. I think I'm extremely lucky, extremely fortunate to be where I am. I've had some great opportunities. I've worked really hard, but I've had some extraordinary opportunities. And I recognize that and I appreciate that. I think this market that we're in, I think the area that we're in this country is a huge opportunity, and I always see it as such. But that is a constant fear, constant anxiety that's in the back of my head that keeps me up at night, that keeps me worried, that keeps me wondering. It keeps me motivated, honestly. There's a reason I get into work at 7 a.m. every day. It's because of that. That negative kick in the ass is exactly what I need to wake up at 4:45 or 5:45 and get into the office at 7. That's exactly what it takes for me. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, so long as you use it in a positive way, and I think it's critically important, you acknowledge it. You do not want your actual why to be negative. I don't think that's going to be healthy for you long term. But short-term motivation, absolutely, it can certainly work for you. Simply put, negativity can spur action better than positivity sometimes. Scientifically proven, shockingly, and that is definitely the case. So what's better in the long run? It depends. Everybody is wired differently, right? I'm not going to say that one size fits all and everybody should be wired the same way. Some have their personal life vision or their clearly defined why, and that's enough to motivate them without any hesitation. It's enough of a kick in the pants to go do what they need to do. Other people, us mortals, we need another way to kickstart our day. Kickstart us sometimes, and that can be your dark why. Your dark why can fill that need. Absolutely, it can. Personally, I have both. They are tools in a tool bag. And depending on how I'm doing, depending on where I'm at mentally, emotionally, each one can be pulled out and tapped into on a daily basis. For me, they kind of work in opposite. When I'm just humming along with my business when everything is working really well, when the referrals are flowing, I feel really good about myself, everything is going great. My why is plenty sufficient. When things are slower, my dark why kicks in and I go into overdrive. 2023 has been one of the most productive years for my business. I've done a lot of different things that I normally wouldn't do. I wouldn't have time for this if it wasn't for 2023. So there's going to definitely be some positives that come out of negatives. You just have to acknowledge it as such, right? You don't want your entire identity to become wrapped up into it. At some point, Tom Brady has to acknowledge, all right, I'm the greatest of all time. All right, I understand I was drafted way too late, but it's no longer a motivating factor in my life. At some point, you have to have that realization, I think. Last quote, another philosopher. He who has a why to live for can bear almost anyhow. I love that. I absolutely love that. It's perfect. If you have a why to live for, you can bear almost anyhow. Ask any veteran of a war, ask anybody who's gone through trials and tribulations. If you have a strong why, you can survive almost anyhow. Absolutely love that. That's it for Aristotle's Musings today. Dark Why. If you have any other questions, let me know. Thank you so much. Hope it was helpful at all. Yeah, thanks.